Web3 represents a new phase for the internet, one that is powered by blockchain technology, which enables decentralization and token-based economies. I'm Víctor Muñoz, developer advocate at Metis, and what I have learned will make you wonder about our future. I'm excited to introduce the Web3 Devs podcast. Rami, I hope that you are doing great. Today we have a special topic, one that I'm very passionate about, which is security. Last year we lost about, I don't know the exact number to be honest, but it's at the billion order level with hacks. So the first question for you is, do you see that we are having a sort of Web3 security crisis? And how would you address this?
Yeah, um, I don't see a Web3 security crisis. Like I just see it as uh, just the regular hacks. Hacks happen in Web2. Similarly, they happen in Web3. But the thing with Web3, why you hear about hacks more often, and why hacks are more critical in Web3, because they usually involve a financial value, like a monetary value with the hack. Of course, like hacks happen on websites, data leaks happen, and this is all very critical. Also, like in Web2, hacks are usually more about like leaking user data, about uh, invading privacy, you know, these kinds of stuff. There's of course like monetary hacks that take some money, that involve some money, right? There are hacks that cause denial of service, simply causing the company to lose money because the company makes money while running, right? Like for example, if AWS gets hacked, they go down, and like every minute they lose millions of dollars because a lot of people are paying by the minute to AWS. Of course, like hacks like this, you hear about them, but in Web3, a $1 million hack gets all over the news. Everyone knows about it. Gets on Wrecked news, on whatever, so on. Whereas in Web3, sometimes a hack cannot be estimated. So you cannot estimate what money was behind it, but you can know that it cost like 1,000 users' passwords or whatever. That's why in Web3 it's more like, how to say, it's more like a bomb, and I wouldn't call it a crisis. Hacks happen everywhere, and hacks get fixed, right? Like hacks are just finding bugs the hard way, I would say. So of course, like, yeah, like I said, it's not a crisis. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that makes sense because since Web3 everything is transactional, obviously you can put a number quite easy and everybody can see it. And yeah, this so it's quite it's a fair comparison when you go to Web2 in that sense. So yeah, that answered my question. Now, the next thing that I would like to ask to you is about like best security practices. So let's start first with what not to do when writing smart contracts.
All right, so we can say what to do when writing a smart contract to make it more secure. Like the best practices, we can say. Of course, first thing, even before like checking for reentrancy or whatever edge cases are there, first thing, you can't say you wrote a contract without writing tests for the contract. Tests that would cover the whole contract, all of the functions, ensure that they do the logic that they are intended to do. of course, like there are some best practices that are very well known now, but for like new developers, we can mention some of them. Always use safe math when dealing with unsigned integers. Always try to not just when with unsigned integers, like just in general, use safe math. Always try to use like safe ERC library because sometimes it happens that you would be dealing with like some ERC token that is non-standard, and it would just not work with your contract, and sometimes it would get stuck. Make sure that the owner of the contract is someone trusted, of course. Make sure also to use like well-known libraries. Sometimes like it's good when you're learning to reinvent the wheel, to write things by yourself from scratch, like write the ownable library or write the ERC20 contract or whatever. But when you get into production code, like when you get into writing code that is going to be used in production, that is going to have that is going to be holding like millions of dollars in value, you need to like make sure to. All right, so like I said, like when trying to write a
So
smart contract and you want to make it as secure as possible, one of the best practices is to try and not reinvent the wheel, right? So of course, like it's great when you're a beginner to reinvent the
okay.
wheel, rewrite smart contracts from scratch, like rewriting the ERC20 library for using it in your code rather than just using the OpenZeppelin ERC20 library, or rewriting the ownable contract. Like these library contracts that are, for example, written by OpenZeppelin or so on, these are battle tested contracts. Everybody uses them, so it's more safe to use them rather than use your own code, especially when you're working with production with like millions of dollars in value that are going to be stored in your contracts. Of course, like, yeah, when you're learning, it's totally fine. Reinvent the wheel, do whatever you want. But when working with production, no, you should try to keep your code as small as possible and like rely on dependencies if you can find them. Like if the dependencies would solve your problems, would fulfill your needs, you can use the dependencies. Otherwise, yeah, you can just like try to edit the code of the dependencies if you needed to, like have, for example, let's say you need to have two owners. Of course, there's a library that allows you to have two owners, but let's say you only have, like, you're in 2017, right, and you only have the ownable library. You could for example, like just edit it a little bit, have the owners become like an array instead of one owner. But yeah, the best practice is to write the least code possible, especially with Solidity.
So the next question that I want to do is, we are now seeing sometimes governance involved in things that are related to security issues, right? In smart contracts, in a community, and in everything. So what is the role that governance plays in securing Web3 in general?
So governance, especially like when done correctly, when you have a governance token that is well distributed among the real community, the real users, governance can be applied. I can say some pros and cons about governance. Of course, like governance aims to try and decentralize decision making as much as possible. Instead of having an admin make a decision on a smart contract, the governance would make this decision, which is like the community would be deciding what to do instead of the admin deciding. And so sometimes you would transfer ownership to a governance contract, like ownership of a contract. So you have a contract, all right, and it has an admin, an owner that has some privileges. When you transfer ownership to governance, it means you are giving the community the ability to be the admin of this contract, to make the decisions on this contract. And so, yeah, this is one of the pros for governance, decentralization. Some may find governance to be slow. Some may find that an admin can act faster on the contract. For example, like if you have a contract that and you have a contract and you already wrote in the logic of the contract that it's pausable by the admin. So the admin can pause the contract if something bad is happening, like if they find about a bug or whatever, they can pause the contract. Now, the admin, of course, is going to be faster, much faster to act on such situation. The admin would, like, just the second they would get a bug report on the contract, they would be able to pause it. But the governance is too slow. Like, governance can take 3 days to make a decision, to reach quorum, so on. I see, like, some of the critical contracts are better off controlled by admins. For example, like, I can speak a little bit to our decentralized sequencer and how it's going to be, like, fully decentralized in the end. Our decentralized sequencer is at first going to be permissioned by an administrator who will be adding nodes and removing nodes and having some privilege over the contract. But if you look at it, like, some people might say that, oh, this is so bad, this is very centralized and so on. But, like, if you think about it, Metis was previously running the single sequencer on the network. And so now when we're trying to decentralize the network, we'll still have some admin privileges. Of course, it's less than the privileges that we had when we're running the single sequencer of the network. It's much less, all right? It's like, this way is way more decentralized than having the single sequencer, which is run by us. Of course, it's not completely decentralized. And for the first, I don't know, like, for the first period of time, until we find out that this thing is very stable, that this thing is, like, battle-proof, we can start considering to switch ownership to the governance, so that the governance would decide who comes in, who goes out, and so on. But we will retain the admin permissions at first, in order for us to act very fast in case of, like, God forbid, incidents, or in case of, like, we find some bug and we need to do something about it. The admin would be much faster than the governance in these cases.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, or if you learned something new, please subscribe to this channel. It helps us more than you can imagine. See you on the next episode.